Chapter 7 Season 3 is coming to an end in Fortnite very soon, so in today's YouTube video I'll be telling you about leaks and news regarding Chapter 7 Season 4 being a heavily Gaming Legends themed season with potential Battle Pass collaborations and item shop collaborations throughout the entire season, and then we'll be talking about the unstable end of season story moment live event. Now when it comes to talking about the live event and when it comes to talking about the next season, there are going to be leaks and news and spoilers here in this video, so if you want to go into the event with a blind eye, feel free to click off the video. However, for people who do watch this video and listen to the spoilers, I do want to mention that I'm not going to be mentioning absolutely everything. I'll be leaving certain things here and there that have kind of been spoiled just through the files up to your interpretation so that there is still some wonder you can actually experience from this event itself. When I was looking in the files and everything, I found out Epic Games forgot to actually encrypt a lot of the event strings, so I actually got it like accidentally spoiled to myself. And of course, you know, I want to make it an opportunity where people who want to hear those things can hear about it, but people who want to keep a blind eye don't have to hear about it at all. So without further ado, let's start off by talking about Chapter 7 Season 4, which is going to be a Gaming Legends themed season. We already got some leaks regarding some of the confirmed collaborations, but before we talk about those, let's talk about all the rumored ones. Recently, it's been rumored that we're going to be getting a lot of collaborations in the next season, such as Kingdom Hearts, Mega Man, Pac-Man, Tetris, Persona, Sonic, Yakuza, Crazy Taxi. There's been a lot of stuff. Even Crash Bandicoot was rumored at certain times, and a lot of things have been thrown out there. You know, certain leaks such as from Lulu, Spush, Winsowing, Blortzen mentioned that next season was going to be a Gaming Legends themed season with certain characters like Sonic being in the actual Battle Pass, while other leaks mentioned that the next season was going to be like a mini season. However, it appears that it is going to be a full-blown season that you'll be able to enjoy for like a longer duration than like a month or something like that. So it's going to be jam-packed, and there's going to be a lot of stuff to go ahead and do with that season that kind of just makes it a little wild overall. Now, in terms of what has been confirmed, in the most recent game update, there were some encrypted images that got leaked by Sheena and Hypex, and in those images, we actually got a few posters that will be seen after the live event, which show us and confirm to us that we're going to be getting Sonic the Hedgehog, Tetris, Pac-Man, and Mega Man at the very least in the next season, most likely in the Battle Pass. However, it feels like next season is not just going to be related to Gaming Legends in the Battle Pass, but also in the item shop in the live event as well, based on all the leaks and rumors we've gotten recently. Now, we're going to go ahead and talk about the event stuff towards the end of this video, but I want to go ahead and talk about potential item shop collaborations that could be happening during this Gaming Legends themed season, because they're kind of exciting to me. And one of the ones that we've kind of heard recently is Yakuza. Now, as you guys know, I'm a big Yakuza fan. I've played Judgment, Lost Judgment. I plan to play Stranger Than Heaven when it launches next year. I've played all the Yakuza games except for Ishin, the Unreal Engine like remake. I've even played Dead Souls on the PlayStation 3. So I've played a lot of Yakuza games, and I'm a big fan of that franchise. So I've talked about on this channel before how we've gotten rumors about potential Yakuza collaborations. However, every time we've talked about it before, it ended up not happening. It was stuff where maybe it was in the talks internally, but nothing ever came from it. And one rumor I had heard, which I can't personally confirm, but would make sense to me, was that Sega actually saw Fortnite as a competitor to what they were making. What I mean by that is, at the time when everyone was saying that Sega could have seen Fortnite as an actual competitor, when they were working on the new Jet Set Radio game that I don't think has been officially announced yet, and when they were working on the upcoming Crazy Taxi game, which is having like a playtest soon, they were planning on making both of those games live service. Now, apparently Sega was also going to do like NFTs in those games as well, but I think they like scrapped that plan and went ahead and just decided, nope, we're just going to go ahead and make like a live service game. But specifically with Crazy Taxi, it's set to have like a taxi battle royale mode, so it would make sense if one of the reasons why they never actually did a Fortnite collaboration back then, except for, you know, some shoes for Sonic and a Rocket League collaboration, was because they actually saw battle royale as a competitor to their battle royale games that they were planning on making, even though they wouldn't have been shooter games. You know, they wouldn't have been the exact same as what we're actually seeing with Fortnite right now. Now, considering the fact that we're starting to get leaks and rumors about other stuff such as Persona coming in the next season, whether that's an item shop collaboration or Battle Pass, we don't know, but we do know that at least Persona 5 is getting Rocket League decals, and whether that stuff actually ends up coming out in that next season or not, we can't confirm, but it would make sense if this would like prove, you know, Sega has a better relationship with Epic Games now and doesn't see them as that much of a competitor, so they're willing to go ahead and drop all these highly anticipated and wanted collaborations for a Gaming Legends themed season at the exact same time that Sonic gets a major focus in an official battle Battle Pass. But of course, we also have the Epic Games Store gift with benefit purchase. When you actually go ahead and purchase some games on the Epic Games Store like Crimson Desert, you get the Cliff skin, or when you buy Resident Evil, you go ahead and get yourself the Grace skin over in Fortnite as a little bit of an added bonus. It's one thing Epic Games does to try getting people to purchase things on the Epic Games Store instead of buying it on other platforms like PlayStation, Xbox, or Steam, and even though they try it, I typically just buy all my games on Steam anyways because I don't really want to buy on the Epic Games Store personally. But I wouldn't be surprised if they go ahead and use that into play heavily with this next season of Battle Royale, considering the fact that they always try to do more and more Gaming Legends collaborations, especially with their statement of them wanting to do at least 100 Gaming Legends collaborations per year. You know, this year they're probably only going to do like 60. I wouldn't be surprised if a majority of those collaborations try coming out during this next season, because it's also placing itself in that certain area where it'd be right around the time is when we're going to be getting some pretty decent game launches, because, you know, sure, we're probably not going to get a GTA 6 collaboration with Fortnite or whatever else in like October or November when that releases, but October, September, those type of months are actually stacked when it comes to those game releases. So I could definitely see that playing a part into the next season. However, all the talk about the next season out of the way, we have to talk about the end of season event for the current season we're currently in. It is going to be called the Unstable Story Moment live event, and as I already mentioned earlier, we will be mentioning certain leaks here and there. However, I'll be leaving some things intentionally vague to have you guys have some little wonder or speculative things to go ahead and be excited for once the live event actually releases. And before you leave an angry comment down below about me leaving certain things vague, being like, oh, this is proof he gets paid by Epic Games he gets told by Epic Games about what he can and can't leak. I promise I'm not like paid under the table by Epic or something. I get supporter creator payments from you guys using my code FireMonkey #ad, but they're not telling me I can or can't talk about certain things. I don't have any of that special treatment at all, don't worry. Anyways, when it comes to the live event, it's going to be taking place on August 15th. We don't currently know the specific time, but it most likely will be either after or before the actual Power Hour that'll be happening that day as well, because it also happens the exact same day as the Power Hour. Now, the next week's Power Hour is going to be focused on all mythic weapons being enabled on the island, so whenever you open up a chest or something, instead of getting like a blue striker pump, or instead of opening this up and getting, what do we get? Yeah, a green or uncommon striker pump, it would be a mythic version of whatever weapon they could give you. So instead of getting a ranger pistol, you would get like the mythic Baba Yaga pistol and that type of stuff, and then after that, or maybe even potentially before that, they would go ahead and have the live event actually go down so that there would be stuff for you to go ahead and interact with and see some cool little things happen on screen. Now, we're not for sure if there's going to be a playlist for the live event or not. As far as I'm aware, it doesn't look like there's a playlist, so it'll be something where you just queue into Battle Royale and it happens as you play a normal Battle Royale match. However, they will have, you know, like the storm pause before the event actually happens, and there should be player immunity where you won't be able to damage people when the event is going on, but it still is something that isn't going to be as big as some other live events, but still is going to be a pretty decently sized one with some pretty interesting effects happening on the island, such as match glitches. Now, one thing I should mention about this live event is that it's going to have a very heavily retro focus, as you would expect, since next season is going to be related to a lot of Gaming Legends stuff, potentially not even having like a Fortnite original skin in any of the Battle Pass pages at all, and it's going to be something that has cartridges. It's going to have old school computer BIOSes on screen and stuff like that, so it's going to have that old school vibe very heavily through it, so you can see that everything kind of goes into place properly and everything kind of affects and makes sense, not only just in the storyline, but in the collaborative sense of why next season is even heavily gaming related in the first place. During one of the scenes, we'll actually see a BIOS pop up on screen, similar to how it takes over your entire screen during stuff like the Fortnite Black Hole events or whenever the game goes night-night for the next season, and it's going to actually have a lot of text showing up, as if the entire Battle Royale island had been shut down and it was just a program and a simulation somewhere along the lines. In that actual screen, we're going to be seeing certain bits and pieces of information, such as the current reality we're actually inside of, because as you guys may or may not know, based on the storyline, there's multiple different realities, such as the Visitor being from Reality Unknown, and then certain skins being from like reality, I think it's like 226 or 266 or something like that, and we're going to go ahead and see the current reality we're in. We're going to see other realities as well, such as maybe one we might be bridging over to, trying to like connect realities together or invade one or something. We'll be seeing that that type of stuff going on during the event, and then on top of that, we'll see how many times the loop has actually been completed on this current reality, so on this current Battle Royale island. Some people have mentioned before that it appears like we've broken out of the loop because people can speak freely, you know, actually use their voices and stuff, but there might be a chance that maybe the loop was just paused at a certain point and it's being restarted with this next season. That one is just like a theory by me based on some certain things, but it's not an actual like confirmed thing. Like, I'm not saying without a doubt that's exactly what's going on, but it does seem like Epic Games wants to have this whole entire BIOS thing and all this retro stuff heavily involved in that next season, and potentially maybe even like a Hunter season in a way, where the reason we got so many different gaming legend worlds in one is because different worlds started colliding due to maybe a bridge glitching or something like that, in order to make every world kind of just have their realities merged together once again. After the live event, however, we'll be getting something called match hacks. This will be something where you actually put a cartridge into a console somewhere, and we're not for sure what that actually looks like. It does seem like it does relate heavily to the whole gaming legends aesthetic, and it's going to be something where some of the certain hacks you'd be able to activate for everyone in the current match will be things like unlimited ammo, half damage from falling, so if you take 100 damage from falling, you would only actually take 50 damage, big head mode being enabled if you wanted to enable that one, certain things like, I think there's one that's a speed boost, however that one cannot be activated by players, instead it's something where you're only able to actually activate it by going ahead and having a glitch actually appear on the island, and more. But it's going to be something that takes over the island for the final like week of the season after the live event ends on that August 15th day, so it'll be something that kind of gets increasingly shown and glitchy on the island until we go into the next season. Now, one of the glitches that will be happening, and one of the ones that you can't actually control but will appear in certain POIs randomly, is something where you may notice your body has a little like glitch effect happening around you when you're in certain areas. When you go to those certain areas, it will give you unlimited stamina, so as you can see right here when we have our pickaxe out in zero build, we have unlimited stamina. It will give you that, however, it will also give you a speed boost, most likely to signify, hey, this is, you know, like a Sonic reference or whatever else, a hint towards one of the things for the next season. Maybe there's going to be like a Sonic mythic or something that allows you to become the blue blur. We don't currently know, but it's one of those things that kind of makes sense and would kind of be cool to see leading off this season into the next one. Now, of course, as I mentioned, I don't know how they're actually going to play it into the live event or after it, but it is something that we will be seeing in some form after the live event goes down. And then during the event, of course, they're going to be having some dialogue. I think there's only like 1 or 2 characters that are actually going to be speaking. However, it's going to definitely be focused around Geno and, you know, the 7, because if you guys have paid attention to the Battle Royale story recently, the 7 have confirmed that they know that the visitor currently on our island is Geno. However, they don't want Geno to find out that they know who he is. So it's something where we got to figure out how that plays into the storyline, and we got to figure out how important it is to everything else going down. But they're doing a really good job on keeping whatever collaborative things they want to do heavily tied into Battle Royale, heavily tied into that storyline, and it's something that I feel like is only possible through the current guy who is working on the story. I think it's Charlie Wynn still, because in the past when we had, you know, Donald Mustard working on the story, sure, the story was good and everything, and honestly I liked the story a little bit here and there, but it felt a little bit more confusing. However, ever since the Charlie Wynn thing, and of course he's not the only one working on the story, there's other people 100% working on it as well, it's felt like the story has all followed like a long narrative. Like, it felt like everything, even going back to when we had like Pandora's Box and all that, tied in neatly to the other parts of the story that happened later down the line. So it does make sense that they want to make sure this next season still ties into all that lore and still ties into whatever is going on. There also appears to be relations to the actual void storm giant demon guy we saw in the Simpsons live event that might be appearing once again in this live event or mentioned in this live event. So it appears like that story isn't over either, but there is a ton, and I mean a ton, of stuff to be expecting in Chapter 7 Season 4 and this end of season live event, even if it does end up being a little bit shorter of a live event. Now, let me know in the comments down below, what do you think about all this stuff? Which gaming collaborations do you hope end up coming to the game in the next season? Are you excited for Tetris, Pac-Man, Sonic, Mega Man, and more? And what do you think the skins are going to be? Because I think like a humanoid version of Sonic or Mega Man, okay, actually Mega Man makes sense, but humanoid version of like Sonic or Pac-Man
might be a little weird to look at in a Battle Royale map where you have stuff like Morty from Rick and Morty in a mech and all that stuff. Unless they go ahead and drop Pac-Man into a mech, I guess. But until next time, I'll catch you champs and champettes a little bit later with another upload. So like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow with that video. So until then, peace out.